Can I get it? Amen. From everybody out there in free Karen Reed Nation. Good evening, everybody. I'm your host, DJ, and welcome back to Calling All Beings, because we gonna get down to it tonight with a crazy ass You know who I'm talking about? Jason Broyles. He's not here yet. But before that, let me introduce to you my co-host du jour, somebody who you've seen host this joint. And you know what? Pretty soon, I think her and Beatrice might just do an episode where I'm not even there. So party people, at least give me a golf clap right here for my homegirl, Britt Happens.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you again.
Can I get her? Britt Happens.
Hey, good to see you again.
How was that intro? Was that all right?
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's a whole lot better than
man.
what I get at home. So
It's better than when I get home, too. It's like, get out my way. You know, is what I hear at home. But anyway, so yeah, welcome back to Calling All Beings. Let's see who we got up in the chat. Our home Bizzle's up in here. There is the fireside chat background, which is what we about to do with my homie when he gets up in here. I don't know where this boy at, but if not, we doing a show together, Brent. So
fair enough.
All right, let's say hi to some people up in here. Miss Jessica NBZ is in the house. Let's see, Julie, the OG gangster of Calling All Beings mods. I'm here. Let's see. Kathleen is here. Hey, man, Kathleen Gates. How you doing? Thank you very much for some of that. Dragonfly's here. Hi, DJ. Finally here. Hey, welcome. Bienvenidos, Dragonfly. Hopefully Jason's going to be here to entertain you. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with me and Britt for the night. All right? And we got JD here, a member. What's up, JD? It's the opposite of my name.
Sarah's
welcome.
Here. Hey.
Who's that?
Sarah.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
Did I? Okay, because I'm not I'm going down. I'm going in order. All right, Christine Anthony's here. Welcome, Christine. Welcome to Calling All Beings. Let's see. Dragonfly, Kathleen, and there she is. The legendary. We about to have dinner with this young lady right here. Sarah and Shock and Horror. I'm Jennifer McCabe. There's a man lying on the lawn at 34th Avenue. You know, the Alberts residence. They're world famous. Anyway, Sherry, you can critique me on that later on my Jen McCabe. There's a man on the lawn at 34th Avenue in Canton. So please, later on, give me a grade on that. And I'll tell you what, Sarah, the grade, let's make it from 1 to 1.25. That way I can't be that good or bad. I'm just kidding. And there's Judy Bostieri. Hi, Judy. Judy's going to be joining us down there at the, in Canton, Dedham at the Tavern on the Square, January 12th, 6:30 p.m., just because Peter Murphy said so. Oh, and by the way, okay, we got class. Hey! What's going on, homegirl? I've been chatting with her a little bit. She clued me in on what type of an accent that Aussie Insider has. Classic Overthinker. If you'd like to type in the chat and let us know oh, man, he backstage right now. This is a pipe hitting up. I'm about to tell you. Okay, he's a pipe hitting up. He played no games. All right. All right, we got to get him on here. But yeah, so tell me, Classic Overthinker, what type of an accent does Shorty have so that you can educate us Yanks here on what's going down? All right, so Christine Anthony's here. Make sure we said hello. Sherry Dizzle is in the house. I got to talk to Sherry today. Monique, welcome. Got my ears on listening from Bristol, Connecticut. And that's where my brother is broadcasting from tonight. And we also, Britt, not in her car. Britt just got back from Barbados. No, she just tan like that. All right, and there's
I'm in Florida, hon.
That's right. Side bar and grill. And there's our homie Annette, the reality check. All right. Now, we got to get ready for this brother, right? So we gotta let's just get the music going for him right there. This man is an independent journalist. He's taking no prisoners. He's not taking no quarters. And guess what? He definitely isn't giving any quarters. So party people, put those hands together for the man, Jason Broyles. Oh, can I get a amen from anybody for Jason? Yeah. What is up, brother man? How we doing out there?
That's it for me. I came just for that, so I'm gonna head out now. He's like,
I'm gonna go watch Turtle Boy now. Peace, man. All right.
How's everybody doing? I love it. That was great.
Doing good, man. Doing good. Happy to have you here. I want to do real quick before we jump into this. I told my friend Tim Halloran, who was recently in Canton on business, that I would do a quick. Let me see if I can get this up for Squatchachusetts. Let me see. Dude, man, Dave McCullough, man, he is the Massachusetts legend for Sasquatch. I know y'all are thinking, nah, this thing don't exist, man. Ain't no such damn thing. I'm gonna tell you, man, this is real. Jason, we haven't had a talk about this yet, man, but it's real.
No, but I do think that I'm only going to come on YouTube shows that believe in aliens or Sasquatch going forward. So you're going to get no complaints from me. So
I'm going to tell you, man, I mean, the UFOs, like I'm not even having the discussion anymore just because it's in Congress. I mean, they're having full, House Oversight Committee. They've done 2 now with multiple guests of the Navy and Department of Defense. So it's like, I mean, if you still are thinking this is a fake, then, what am I going to tell you? But it's right here.
I just want to add into that. My formative years, I spent listening to Art Bell on AM radio. So if that tells you anything about me.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I'm a believer.
I'm a Johnny come lately type. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much a thing now, but just to show, let me see if I can, I don't know if I can scroll from here, but let me know if you see this scrolling. Is it scrolling right now?
Yes, we see the scrolling.
Yeah, so this is Dave McCullough, and there's another gentleman. I know Dave because I've heard him interview, but they basically will talk about different areas in Massachusetts where there are Bigfoot sightings, and you can see here they've taken photos of tree formations that humans really, in some cases, the trees are just so big that humans couldn't have put them together or wedged them in there. And so if someone has a sighting or is having problems with their property, they'll call people like Dave McCullough, and he'll come down there. That's the 2 guys from Finding Bigfoot, Cliff and Bobo, that you guys remember. So anyway, yeah, I wanted to let you know about that in case you're in Massachusetts and either you're interested in finding out about it. Check out Dave McCullough, and I also have something from Les Stroud. But I know people came here because they want to get into some damn talk about my boy Jason Broyles. So we got to get into it with him, and we gonna do it.
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna be back in Mass in the upcoming weeks. So I'm gonna make sure I keep my eyes open while I'm driving down the highway there.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, I have heard from. I mean, I've interviewed a number of people from police officers, military people. I've interviewed a number of people that had sightings, and I don't know. I haven't interviewed all of them, but in 48 of 50 states, out at Fort Lewis, out there in Washington, there was a guy who was an opposing force guy. Basically, you go out on the range, and you're the bad guy, and you're trying to attack the good guys, and you have weapons that basically don't have real bullets in them. And they were working against a special forces team, and that special forces team shot one. So a lot of people didn't believe him, and then about 90 days later, the special forces guy goes on air with Wes Germer of Sasquatch Chronicles, who is the #1 content creator. I mean, he has videos that are 750,000 views. And Wes interviewed the special forces operator, and me coming from that community, I know the lingo. I mean, I know you're Marine Corps, but I know the USASOC lingo, and he definitely was legit, and he gave just enough information without giving up all the goods. And I was like, wow. So he basically said, yes, we were the special forces team that other dude was talking to you about. So that legitimized that encounter right there where they shot and killed apparently 2 of them. Anyway, let's get down to Karen Reed. Oh, I still have reality check up there. Hi, reality check. Let me get that out of the way. Jason, first of all, what's that in the background? Is that Boston?
That's Hartford.
That's Hartford?
Yeah, the nearest major city to me. I realized on another live stream that when I set a certain way, that thing comes right out of the top of my head. The building back there. So I thought about changing it, but I decided to keep it.
With a helmet, you'd look like Sergeant Schultz from Hogan's Heroes, man.
I did reorientate my camera a little bit to avoid the confusion, but.
Well, that's a good job there, Jason. Let me tell you with my Chicago accent.
This is my built-in dunce cap. I think that's what we call it.
Is that what that? Then I need a matching one from my bald brother. I do want to let you guys know what you're looking at here. This shirt. This is Peter Murphy's police shirt that he gave me when I met up with him in Franklin. So I told him I was going to wear it on air, and I forgot about it because I'm always grabbing in my closet for these really fancy ones. And but this is Peter Murphy's work shirt right here. There's a place to hook the badge on and everything. Britt left and came. Welcome back, Britt.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know what's happening. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm glad Britt's back because I'm a Britt fan, but I'm also a Peter Murphy fan. So what a nice guy.
We're all a Peter Murphy fan.
Yep, he's a wonderful human being, as is Britt. Britt, when she starts her YouTube here shortly, man, that thing is just gonna blow up, man. She's gonna destroy this thing, man. So I can't wait. I think she's a week or 2 away. So yeah.
Yeah, if everything goes according to plan, which it usually doesn't. But
it doesn't.
Yeah, if things go according to plan, I'm not even gonna say who, but December 15th will be the pilot.
We're not saying who. It's top secret.
Top secret for now.
I'm going to tell you the guest that she has, because I know who it is someone I really, really want to have on air. Like, really, for real. In fact, I've asked Britt to grease the skids for me already because I really, really like this guy. So
I'll put in a halfway decent word for you, DJ. Don't worry.
You better, Britt. I love this guy. He has a great channel, and he's not as big as he should be based on his analysis. But yeah, also next week, Jason, is the Listener Roundtable, and the week after that is the sexiest man in Canton, John Como.
Whoa. I know you're telling the truth because that's how he introduced himself to me too. So
I'm going to tell you the photos. I asked him to send me, some photos like that would indicate that. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not sure that I can stay on YouTube. But I think there's 1 out of the 3 that I won't get thrown on YouTube. Oh my God. Aussie what's this? Aussie Insider's in the house. What's up, home?
Hello, darling.
I want to say this, man. I love your accent, homegirl. Someone put a name to it. I can't remember what it is, but I love your accent. Your laugh does scare me, but I really love you. So that's what I want to say, and I like your channel.
I love your laugh. I love.
I didn't love her laugh. I just said I just feel like it's like something bad's gonna happen. You know what I mean? But no, I love her. So,
ditto on all of that. I love Aussie Insider. So
there you go, man. He's a regular up in there, man. He's a regular.
It's my home channel. I like to call it. I love to be a house guest there.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Dig you, girlfriend. I dig you. All right. Well, you know what? I'll let Britt have the first question because I've babbled enough already. So, Britt, get after that damn Jason, man. Put him on. Get him up on there, man.
Okay, I'm gonna take it way back. What took you from Semper Fi to journalism?
Wow, there's a quite a gap in those two things. So
we've got time.
I always have been. Actually, it's funny because it relates back. So I haven't been in the Marine Corps since 1996. It's been a long time. but I always have had this thing where one of my instructors, not in boot camp, but I think it was in advanced infantry training, there was this woman who she was very, very big on the First Amendment, and that was her whole reason for serving. And anytime she said the most controversial things all the time, and anytime someone called her out and said, "You're going to be in trouble for this," she said, "I know my senator, and I have my First Amendment right." And she was always talking about it. And everyone that goes in, becomes a police officer, government official, or joins the military, takes that oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. And most of the time when people are going in, they really don't understand what they're taking an oath to. You're going in, especially the military, you're a young kid, and you're going into these situations, and you don't really understand the Constitution. Sure, you had it in school, in civics class or whatever.
Sure.
You don't really understand. As you get older, you're going to appreciate it. And that's kind of how I came into this. It was my topic du jour on YouTube, following videos about the First Amendment, about journalism. Great lawyers like Mark Randazza, watched him and interacted with him for years, followed and been interested in their work. I am a law geek,
Right.
so I'm not someone that came to this as a Turtle writer or someone who's a huge Turtle Boy fan. I came to this from the other direction, and I more support his First Amendment activity than I do anything else that he does. So for me, it's a big deal, and that's what led me into. I kind of fell into it by accident. I started covering this case. I started watching the attacks that were coming in on him from the likes of Kate Peter or Lindsay Gaetani, and that pesky First Amendment thing that always existed in my head just kept coming back. And at one point, I just remember saying, I talk about this all the time. It's something that I really researched the different laws in different states in terms of whether states have a reporter shield law and all of this stuff. And it was such an interesting topic to me. I said, why don't I just do this? Like, why don't I become an independent journalist? And I just made the decision one day, and that was it. So that was back in around February of last year, and it's been off to the races since then.
Well, thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and somebody had a comment up here. It was Miss Jessica. Do you have a moment that you felt the most patriotic, Jason?
I can tell you about a moment that I felt the least patriotic. I think I feel patriotic a lot, but there's a moment that in retrospect, I feel the least patriotic. I grew up, it's not a surprise now that I grew up in Chicopee, Massachusetts, right on the outskirts of Westover Air Reserve Base. It used to be an active duty base, longest runway on the East Coast, an alternate landing site for the space shuttle. They fly the C-5 Galaxy out of there, largest plane in the United States fleet. And at one point during the very beginning of the Desert Storm War, there was protests that were going on outside the base. And I was a teenager, not too long before I had joined the Marine Corps. And there was people protesting, and I went with a group of teenagers. We were rebellious. We weren't destroying houses in Canton, but what we were doing is kind of marching up and down the streets by the base, and we were counter-protesting the people that were protesting, and we thought that was the way to go about it. And I'll never forget, there was a family, and they had a young child, and the young child was carrying like a stick with an upside-down American flag on it. And for some reason, I was so offended by seeing that I laid into the parents, and I did it loudly. I had a loud argument with them. And at the end of that little argument that I had, I looked down and the little kid was crying. And I know that I made that kid cry because they heard me yelling at their father, and I was not nice about it. And I went through the whole thing, and I thought I was being the most patriotic person in the world that day because, again, I didn't understand the First Amendment, and I didn't understand how important it was to have this protest and these things. So, it was almost immediate that I knew I made a mistake. And I actually believe I apologized on site and said, I'm sorry, I really didn't mean for this. And, I hope you have a good day. And I walked away. But that moment has stuck with me forever. Since then, I can remember, I'm telling the story and I can remember how I felt. So that's when I felt the least patriotic. And it was ever since then I think I feel equally patriotic every day. So that's the answer to Miss Jessica.
Yeah, and so you, Jessica, excuse me, Christina said, "United we stand," and this is a Patrick Henry quote, "And divided we fall." People miss that part because we're always looking to what divides us, and that topic you brought up, I
Floyd
would
didn't
say
miss it.
that topic you brought up, I would say, like I'm Jewish, Italian, American, so like if it was called the Washington Jew Boys, they might be able to find 90% of somebody that said that's okay. I might say that's not okay. Or if it were the Washington Wops, because I'm Italian, I might have a problem with that, but they might find Italian people who would say, oh, no, that's okay. So unless it's you, I just stay out of it and go, okay, it's, that's not that's for people that are of that heritage that might have an issue with that. So that's the way I look at those things. And this is the reason why I stay away from these topics, particularly on CAB and even in my personal life, is because united we stand, divided we fall. The more we find things to fight about and to bitch and complain about someone else, if it's not personal to you, it might be personal to somebody else. So that's how I adjudicate those. But what I came here to do is talk about Karen Reed. You know what I'm talking about, baby?
It's true.
Can you feel what I'm saying?
I can feel it. I do. In the run up to this, you and I had a discussion because obviously the last several appearances I've made were about some drama that we're not going to talk about tonight.
Right.
But today, in the run up to your show, I find myself embroiled in some drama again on Twitter, and I definitely don't want to talk about it beyond. I do want to say something because I'm seeing some of the comments that are coming in on my Twitter, and I'm seeing some of the things. I did reveal the identity of an account today on Twitter, and
was it mine?
No, I mean I did.
Okay.
I definitely retweeted your invitations to this, so I,
I'm just
in a way, I guess I did. But I did reveal the identity of an account today on Twitter, and I have a lot of people that have rightfully come at me with criticism saying, but isn't that what they do? And isn't that like doing what the other side does? And isn't this just carry on the drama? And I just want to announce that I will have an article. It's not going to be tomorrow, so don't be hitting. I'm not going to lie to you and say I'm going to stay up all night and do it tonight. It's going to be sometime within the next week, though, about the intersection of this drama and the actual case. Because as it turns out, I've learned a lot more in the last day or two about this account that I doxed today. And I learned about the existence of kind of a group of accounts that kind of moves from case to case and works together. And in several of the cases that they've been on, they actually attempt to influence the outcome of the case. That's the thing that they always try and put on the Free Karen Reed supporters, that Turtle Boy's attempting to intimidate witnesses and that there's all this harassment going on and that you're trying to taint the jury pool and you're trying to get witnesses not to testify in the case. It seems that, as I'll be revealing more details of my article, it seems like this is kind of an organized activity that occurs, and in this particular case, it appears to be occurring from the other side. So there's a reason that some of these accounts all ended up here at the same time. There's a reason that they stick together. There's a reason that they've interfaced with Kate Peter. So I'm not going to get into the drama tonight, but for the people who are looking at my account and saying, how could you do this? I can tell you that the account that I doxed, I have at least 12 people in my DMs for almost a year who have been doxed, chased off Twitter, all kinds of things that are associated with that account. And that account is part and parcel of this larger group that I'm talking about. And their role is almost as like the enforcer in there. So hear me out. Don't be mad at me. Wait a little while, because as the information comes out, I think everybody will understand why I took the steps I took today. So that's all I wanted to throw out there as my kind of disclaimer about the drama.
What is your goal, like sort of in the movement? What do you see yourself? I mean, you have sources and stuff. What do you feel like your goal is?
I do have this, I kind of have this dual purpose, right? So I always say this, I talk about being an advocate for people, whether it be victims of sexual assault or domestic violence or bullying in general. And sometimes sometimes those roles of independent journalist and advocate complement each other, and sometimes they conflict. My goal is to try and do as much of both as I can. So I definitely have some information on that comment that was just up, but my goal is to do as much of both as I can. I want to help people. In all ways, the other area that I advocate for is people who are wrongfully accused or wrongfully convicted. So I do think that they mesh together well. So I guess I have a dual purpose here. But if one of them wins over the other, it's always that role of advocate or protector. Like that always seems to override. I want to be a journalist. I want people to get information from me. But if you look at the Society of Professional Journalists, even if you look at their ethics code, there is a section of their ethics code that revolves around doing good with your journalism. I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. I do think that they can work together, that you should always be trying to represent someone who's underrepresented. You should always be trying to advocate in a way with your writing that you're not harming, but instead you're lifting up. And sometimes I've found that I have to do both, but at the end of the day, I always have a larger purpose or a larger, people that I'm advocating for.
I'm going to turn it over to. There is. I mean, obviously he's using multiple mediums and people trust him and he's got sources. He was very close with Sean before all this blew up and close with Aiden. And that says that, there's people in high places within the movement that trust him. But my last question before I turn this over to Britt Happening is, what sort of, is there a piece that you can think of that sort of was when you put that out, whether it was a piece or a tweet, and you just had this feeling like a really positive feeling, like you smiled when you got away from the keyboard? Is there one that kind of sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, there is actually. I think the one, and I wrote the least of it. I basically wrote an introduction, and that is my friend Lisa Peralt. I put out a tweet, a survivor story about the horrific abuse that she went through. And it wasn't so much that, I obviously wasn't happy about the horrific abuse that she went through, but I was happy that she was able to find the courage to come and tell her story about what had happened to her, and that I was able to facilitate that in a way. So a lot of my pieces, admittedly, are tearing people down based on their behaviors and things that they've done. But I definitely enjoyed that one because it really gave me a chance to present a unique perspective about people that they didn't know. And to see someone who went through all of this horrific stuff and has just overcome it in the most amazing of ways.
That's what I'm saying right there, baby.
And I have more of those coming. So I won't say when, but I have more of those coming. I'm definitely working with some other people in those scenarios to tell their story. And I think we'll have some that are equally impactful as Lisa's was.
For me, I think it was that healing episode after the consternation between the attendees and the attendees of the gala. I think that one a couple weeks ago, I really had a lot of satisfaction about that, just based on what people were saying in the chat, and just kind of like everybody looking through somebody else's lens and saying, yeah, I can see how the attendees really, they just were invited to a party and they went, and they didn't have control of the guest list, and they were meant to help increase the volume of people that would attend and donate. And then on the other side, people that were just literally busting their ass and putting blisters on their feet for this movement, also have a right to feel like, hey, they were left out. So I think everybody, if you can, this goes for life. If you can look through somebody else's lens and see, hey, this is how this person might see this situation, then you'll feel less aggrieved and pissed off about something rather than just looking through your own lens. It's always, I wonder how that other person might feel about this. And when you can do that, it really avoids a lot of sort of interpersonal drama and consternation. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jason.
No, that's a tactic that I endorse fully, because it's something that I try to do with myself. I always try to understand people's motivations. So everyone in these circumstances, I want to understand, even if I don't agree with it, even if I might criticize it, I do want to understand where people are coming from in every aspect of everything that I write and the stuff that I just consume. And so I wholeheartedly agree with your tactic of trying to do that, because it's something that I live by. I really try to put myself into other people's shoes and understand. And frankly, I told Aiden Carney after he had his episode where he discussed how he felt when he couldn't get into court. He wanted to be invited to go sit with them in court so bad, and he discussed how it made him feel. And I really thought that that was kind of a unique perspective. It was like Brandy Churchwell did a podcast where she told some of his story, and you heard how he felt. It really was something that was humanizing. And that's an aspect of him that I've gotten to know through private conversations that we've had. But I really was happy to see him kind of discuss some of that and address it and how he applied it to that situation of those people. And I love the people that stand outside, man. I've only been to a few events. I'll be going to more very shortly. It's a 4-hour round trip for me, so I can't just pop into every court date that's going to get continued.
Yeah.
But I try to go to as many as I can, because those people, they make an impression on you. And really, like, for me, I get in trouble for saying this a la the Redskins conversation when I say people are my spirit animal. My wife always yells at me, "You can't say that." But those people that stand outside at those hearings out there and literally stand up out in the cold, in the rain, wherever they're going to be to show their support, those people are amazing to me.
Yeah. Let me let Britt get in here, please, ma'am.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, they're absolutely inspirational. I will never forget the first time I heard Rita Lombardi speak with the authority and the passion that she has. And I think that was, I'm far away from Massachusetts. It'll be, very few hearings that I ever attend with this case. Unless I have a huge life change. But when I saw Rita,
she's moving to Massachusetts, baby.
We'd love you up here. We'd love you up here. It's fine. Come to New England.
So when I first saw Rita, though, I felt as though she truly was a representation of how the town felt about what was going on. That was, I think, the first taste that I had. It was right after Lucky Lawford had testified. And she's something special. That's for sure. She's one of those people who is just a natural born leader.
Yes.
And she and Esty and Tom CPU, they are true heroes of that area. And everybody else out there.
Yeah, there's so many of them. And really, when you see these people, I will say, I'm not going to name any names, but when I did write that piece about Sean on the Gulf, I consulted some people the night before I published it, because I really I know that there's a lot of friendships there and things that are happening. And I really wanted people to understand, especially those people, why I was writing the piece, because I knew some of them weren't going to be thrilled with the piece that I was writing. But I did take a moment and I reached out and I had a conversation with a few of them and I explained my reasoning. I mean, it was not so that we'd still be talking about it now. It was actually so that we could move forward, which we are. But I really, those people to me are the spirit of this whole movement. And so what Aiden did, I plan on attending that party that he says he's going to have at the end of all this for them. I will go and do my duty there to help serve them, because what they're doing for Karen Reed and for all of us, frankly, standing up for our rights is amazing.
That's right. Yeah. And we're all, we're all in different stages. We're all in development as people until the day we're sort of in that, we're either die or we're in that hospice room and we've just totally lost it and we're not cognizant of our surroundings anymore. Hopefully you're in a lifelong quest to develop and evolve as a person, because if you're 20, 30, 40, 50 or 60 or 70 and you think, I'm done, I've learned everything there is to learn, I'm a fully developed human being, I understand humanity, I understand how to interact with humanity, you're probably going to find out that you're wrong. In fact, you will find out that you're wrong, because at 57, I am now, I've learned things that I didn't know at 55. And I'm a better person now than I was at 55. And I tell these, I work, I retired from the military. I'm back working there again. Work for Space Force. So I interact with young people all day, and they'll speak with. They're venerable at 38. I'm gonna say, brother, man. I'm gonna tell you, man. Really, there's so much more to do and learn, and you're not old. They'll speak like they're an old person, and I swear you're not old. I swear to God, you're not old. Promise me.
It's so true.
And it's just you will always think that at every stage of your development. But if you put in your mind that you're still going to learn and improve and understand other people's perspectives, and it'll help this. Actually, Christina said it up here. We had this brilliant woman from Holland on the other night. Can somebody help me with what her name is? It's Carla. I believe her name is Carla. She said, you are the owner of your own feelings. You're also the owner of how you project those feelings. It's all in the delivery. And what I would like to add to Christina, my friends, is that not only that is if you're looking it through something, you won't feel as aggrieved and pissed off when you look at the other person's perspective. So what Judy says here, that's what Aiden did. Aiden said, oh, wait a minute. I understand how Rita feels because I remember how I was barred from court and couldn't get in. So now I understand. Then he softened his stance. And then the same thing happened with Mike. And Mike and her had a dust up. And then Mike made some apologetic tweet to her because, people. And what Carla said in her tweet to us, Carla was in the chat with us from Holland earlier in the week. And she said, if you quickly react to things, generally you're going to have the wrong response. And I'm paraphrasing because she said it a lot more the way that Christina said it, but she added in there about these quick reactions of anger and blah, 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 blah. And then you go, oh, man, I shouldn't have said that. And, I mean, I've had conversations, Britt and I have had conversations where I put my foot in my mouth and I got to remove my foot from my mouth. So, I mean, it happens, but it's all in being aware of it. And so, I appreciate what you've done. We've been through a very, very difficult time. You've written about it prolifically. And I'm hoping that people can see the other side, understand the other side, and kind of figure out what perhaps people's motivations may be. I think you've alluded to some of them in your writings, but tell you something I was interested to do I wanted to get your take on it, and I think we can take turns so everybody can hear our reading voices. So what I'd like to do is to do like some paragraphs here where we each do a paragraph of Olivia's tweet and then get Jason's take on it, and we can just see thought bubbles coming out of his head and all this neat stuff.
I love that.
Does that sound good? All right. I'm gonna put on my reading glasses, Jason. Here they are. I've got them right here.
If I put on my glasses, I won't be able to see a thing. So,
how's my Cockney? Was that okay?
But
okay, maybe not. He didn't pay attention.
Say that again.
I'm gonna give it a
Everybody, please tip your bartenders and wait staff. Everybody. All right, here we go. Now, I recommend if you're watching right now, and we're just gonna. We hear, okay, calling all beings. Mike, check for Britt.
Mike.
Britt happens. It's just because she's in a room that has a lot of echo. That's okay. We'll stick a mattress in there. We're okay. All right. So now we're going to ignore the chat just while we read this because if you go full screen, you can read it a lot better. Okay? And which means we can't. And then we can't see the chat and your beautiful faces. So, I love your face. Where's Kim? All right, all right, Jason. Let's get us started off, and then it'll go Britt, myself, etc.
All right, so I'm going to read till when?
Till the first paragraph is yours, Jason. And then
we'll
get on to Britt, and then myself.
Can I read that? The second paragraph is one word. I'll take the first and the second.
Okay,
does that sound right?
Go, brother. It's all yours, brother.
Should we we'll do it in narrator voice? Okay.
Yeah, do it in narrator voice. Jason's telling you all a bedtime story. Go ahead.
I'm ready. DA Michael Morrissey used his own personal email accounts to intimidate and threaten two sitting judges, the Mass Trial Court Administrator and a Deputy Court Administrator for the District Courts of Mass. Why?
Okay, is this setting better?
No, you sound great. Don't worry about that. We don't care. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Jen McCabe sent a late night text message about how she was horrified and disgusted that Chris Albert was denied an HPO against journalist Aidan Carney on First Amendment protected speech grounds.
Just the fact that Morrissey will apparently use his power to influence the judiciary in order to protect Chris Albert and Jen McCabe, a third-party culprit who's been implicated by federal evidence in the murder of John O'Keefe, calls into question his office's ability to prosecute any case objectively or ethically. I'm sorry, Britt. Go ahead, Jason. I'm going to go and scroll.
If he'd sent that email to those people, well, the notion that he'd leverage his power to help continue and further the cover-up of Officer O'Keefe's murder in order to help protect these McAlbert third-party culprits doesn't seem so far-fetched.
And why for the McAlberts? How is he connected to them? Are they friends? Does he know them personally? Does Morrissey take such action on behalf of all witnesses in cases that his office prosecutes?
And before I continue, this is the brilliant, the amazing at Olivia Lambo on Twitter. I'm a big fan of her. I've told her to bring a Sharpie to the dinner, the meal of food, and I will let her sign my arm, maybe even my head. My
I like the head idea.
The head idea. Okay.
Yeah, sign the back
And
of your head.
subsequently get it turned into a tattoo. I love that.
Yes, Olivia, you can sign my head. At the very least, Morrissey's email certainly calls into question in what ways, if any, Adam Lally, he's leveraged his power to threaten or intimidate the judiciary, providing over the Karen Reed case for a favorable outcome for the McAlberts.
As evidenced by his email, he's already done just that for Jen McCabe.
Okay, I'll take the next one.
I'll scroll.
Further. Further. Michael Morrissey conducting this ex parte via a personal email account demonstrates clear consciousness of guilt. He knew it was inappropriate, so he took it offline and misspelled Reed. That's neither here nor there.
Okay, and where? Help me out. Where I got lost when I was scrolling.
Okay.
All right.
It
Oh, you're
was
there. You are.
a
Okay. It
clear
was
attempt.
okay. It was a clear attempt to evade detection and the accountability that comes with this public's right to access the information via the Massachusetts Public Records Act, PRA, similar to the Federal Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, as communications made via his work email address are obtainable via this law.
By conducting this ex parte action, DA Morrissey further demonstrates a consciousness of guilt regarding this apparent act of intimidation and abuse of power, which may also provide grounds for disqualifying his office from prosecuting Aidan Carney.
Jason, you need to be the new law and order guy
For real, man. Go ahead.
in the criminal justice system. By doing so, and by doing so offline, am I in the?
I think you're
scroll?
right. By doing so is
Okay.
where you start.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I might have scrolled too
You
far.
see-
So
No. I think you're good. Hakuna Matata. He seems to be aware of his office's would-be Rule 14 discovery obligations in any future prosecution of Carney, whereby taking deliberate steps to avoid its disclosure due to the numerous violations it incurs.
it's striking that Morrissey assigned such urgency and significance to Jen McCabe's feelings, prioritizing her emotions to the extent that he acted within just 5 business hours.
This raises key questions: how, why, and when did Michael Morrissey become aware of Jen McCabe's hurt feelings, as expressed in her late-night text message following Chris Albert's failed HPO hearing that day, September 28th, 2023?
Were these messages sent directly from McCabe to Morrissey, or were they relayed by a third party?
And if they were forwarded to Morrissey by someone, who was it? And why did they think conveyance of such random witnesses' hurt feelings was important enough to send the county to the county prosecutor?
If forwarded, who passed them along? And what prompted them to believe that the horror and disgust feelings of a witness warranted the attention of the county prosecutor?
It should be noted that this information does not appear to have been produced in discovery, nor was it disclosed by the DA's office.
What other instances of this clear abuse of power has DA Michael Moore, I went Star Wars with you guys there right there, has DA Michael Morrissey or his office engaged that we don't know about, question mark?
Ultimately, Morrissey's actions indicate a troubling misuse of power that may undermine his office's credibility and raise legitimate questions about his ability to prosecute Aidan Carney, and by extension, Karen Reed, objectively.
Wow. Oh, somebody said, what's up with DJ's mic? I don't know, Michelle. What went wrong with that? I don't know. So what do you guys think? How was that? So Jason, what's your take on all that has been illuminated by Miss Olivia Lambo, the amazing one?
I was focusing on reading. I don't even know what it said. But no, just kidding. Olivia is amazing, and she's absolutely right. I mean, that there's a few kind of watershed moments in these combined cases, right? Between the two of them. And one of them was the police arresting Aidan Carney, the same ones that he'd been saying since April were corrupt. This is finding out. I found this out a little bit before others, but finding this information out about the DA Morrissey using that private email, that was immediately, something's wrong here. Like, that was one of those moments where you look at this case and you say, this should never happen. And the fact that it did happen is a sign that everything that people have alleged coming up to this, that Morrissey was a criminal, that all of this stuff was happening, that there's a cover-up underway. It's just one of those, it's one of those planks in that floor, you know what I mean? Where you're looking at that and you're saying, this is real now that he's been caught doing this. And every time you see this, you say to yourself, this case is going to get dismissed. Aidan Carney's case specifically is going to get dismissed. And I think what we're going to see, and it's a prediction, I think we're going to see the floodgates open. I think that I can't think of a defense attorney in a case in Norfolk County that is now not going to request his emails. Mm-hmm. They're going to want to see it. This could turn into the Massachusetts drug lab scandal. I think that you can't emphasize how important this is enough.
Britt, what do you think about if they did the delete, the whole thing, the 30-day delete, that means it's not going to be present on his phone that Hank is going to be able to see. So I think Olivia spoke about that the only way that we're going to be able to get those communications is if they do a Celebrite extraction or the third party said if they get a hold of, let's say if he has Verizon or AT&T, they could get that information there as well. So now I guess what I'm asking you, Britt, is do you think that Judge Cannoni is included in those ex parte communications?
That depends. She didn't seem to be fighting too hard on allowing for Morrissey's messages to be turned over. So I'm thinking one of a couple things. She either has been communicating with him in a way that she knows is not going to show up on that phone, whether it's because of the text messages being deleted or by some other means. Or, I mean, who knows? Maybe she knew that he had his text set to delete after 30 days, but on an iPhone, that is the quickest setting to self-delete. You can have things, either stay forever or stay for 365 days or stay for 30 days. So that's the quickest one. So maybe she was counting on that. So who knows? I think the way that she rules on if there is a motion for a Celebrite extraction or for, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile to turn those deleted messages over, I think her behavior for that motion will be more telling than how she's acted for this motion.
That is very true, because if she denies that motion, you would have to ask why. But she's just opening up that appellate door, just keeps opening wider and wider if she denies it. But let me just say, for Aussie Insider, hell yeah, girlfriend, you're invited up in this joint. If you want to
Anytime.
come up here and chat with me, you invited, girlfriend. We don't even talk to you. So, and yes, I agree with you, Sarah. I can listen to her accent all day. I love it. So, but anyway, so yeah, I think right there, if it's set to delete, then if you are Jackson, Indiana, you run the risk. I mean, she's gonna rule against your motions anyway. So you might as well ask for for that Celebrite extraction or third party details of all of his calls and all of his text messages, because if their moms worked in the lunchroom together, Jason, at whatever the hell middle school that was or high school, I'd say that's a pretty good bet. What do you think? Let's put percentages. What are the percentages? There's ex parte conversations between Meatball and Judge Bev.
I think the percentage is high, but I think the percentage of them being something scandalous is low, because I think that she's probably smarter than he is in terms of what communication she's willing to have in writing. So I also, I just have to throw out there, this is a lot like when we talk about the potential conspiracy outside 34 Fairview, and people on the anti side of this love to say, oh, there would be 70 people involved in this conspiracy. We all know it could be 6 people, 5 people, the original core group, and everyone else could have been dragged into this unwittingly. They think they're helping a friend. They think they're going to just change a word in a report to help a police officer get probable cause. They're going to do all of this, and then they find out later that they're a part of a conspiracy. I think the same thing could be said here, where there are people that would have been part of that ex parte communication and not thought anything of it because they weren't doing anything wrong. And then later all of this comes to play, and they start to say, oh, wait a minute, they extracted this phone. That those people didn't know that the special prosecutor was representing in court in another case that not only had they not extracted it, but that they wouldn't until they got through this process of having a special master go through the phone.
Right. Where you could say, okay, this is private. There's HIPAA information. There's PII information on there. It's, yeah. Right.
So I think that there could be people who ultimately will get caught up in this email gate. I guess iCloud email gate, I guess we'll call it, but that didn't actually intend to do anything wrong or know they were doing anything wrong in the process. And so my answer about Judge Canone is that I don't know how culpable she'll be from any communications found in there, because she strikes me as being smart enough not to put illegal ex parte communication in writing regardless of what email Michael Morrissey is using.
Is she? We'll see. We'll see. She didn't recuse herself when given multiple opportunities to not be involved in the case, when they showed that maybe was it the Nagels that would have rented out her Cape Cod cottage, and oh no, my name isn't spelled with an extra E in Beverly with 2 E's. Yeah, so it wasn't me, even though my husband's name is Frank, and yeah.
I think the truth is that that's all valid speculation, right? But nobody's closed the loop on those things, and so that's important. And when I look at this, I say to myself that, again, I go back to where I try to look at everybody's motivations in every situation, and I can think of a motivation why Bev wouldn't recuse herself, because I can see someone in her position. If she believes she's fair, I think that's definitely debatable, especially when it comes to her interactions with Alan Jackson.
Yeah, how could she believe she's fair when she sits there and verbally picks on their whole team, and even did it again just 2 weeks ago?
I know, but
how could she think she's fair?
But her motivation may not be to advance the corrupt wishes of the district attorney. It may simply be to make a name for herself. We saw this with the Chestnut trial.
No question.
In the Chestnut trial, there was a mistrial. It was her fault. There was a mistrial in the first case. She should have never held on to that second case. Yes, they made it to a verdict, but the bottom line is her own ego, her own notoriety, her own, maybe she's looking for a job out of this as a commentator or as something else. And,
TV.
She's going to be the Judge Ito in the OJ trial. Right. So I know just like in the beginning of this case, I knew something was wrong at 34 Fairview. I knew that something was being covered up, and it didn't make sense to me if it wasn't the murder of John O'Keefe. Here, something's wrong with her, but I haven't closed the loop on if it's her own ego, her own things, and not necessarily that she's part of a conspiracy.
No, and I'm not asserting that she is. Well, first, let me do that. Before I talk about Judge Bev and Verbo and her Airbnb, I want to thank my new friend, Sarah Schockenhara, who gave me a pretty good grade on saying that the other day. Sarah, thank you very much for gifting 20 memberships. You're really awesome. I'm glad we've had a dialogue of late, and I look forward to you joining us for dinner if there's not a horrific snow. Because if there is a horrific nor'easter, we're going to have Britt and I have already come up with a bump plan where she takes Uber and I don't know how many. I'm going to leave New York at like 5 a.m. to get there. But yeah, anything could go wrong. But nor'easters notwithstanding, we're really, really looking forward to meeting you there. And now somebody else has done that. Who is this?
Also, hi, Kim. Happy to see you.
Is Kim here? The legend?
Kim's in the chat.
God. Oh, my God. I didn't see how. Oh, look, Suzanne. All right, here. I'm going to do my LeBron James right now. Cleveland, this is for you. That's LeBron winning the championship in 2016. Hi, Cleveland. I know. But you know what I need the truth about, Suzanne? I need the truth about your shirt size so I can bring one to you when we show up at the dinner. You and Peter Murphy. Okay? All right. Who else do we have to say hello here? Sidebar and Grill. Thank you so much. I think you donated memberships last time. You're amazing. God bless you. I know you didn't sneeze, but God bless you. And thank you very much for doing that. You're incredibly generous. Now I've been told that Nurse Kim is here, who is a veritable superstar in this joint. Where's Nurse Kim? Where is she? Is she down at the bottom? Where's Nurse Kim?
Oh, yeah, there she is. Yep.
Where? Is she past Sidebar and Grill? Oh.
Yes.
Hey, Kim. Can I tell them what you told me this morning?
Was it about my hair? Because if I'm very sensitive. Okay. Right,
no.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with your hair.
Okay.
She got a very
trim.
Special follower on Twitter today.
You did? Who's
no,
that?
she did.
Oh,
Kim did.
who's her follower?
I already was following her. I'm not sure. Oh. Not.
It wasn't Jason or myself because we've been following for 6 months. All right, go ahead.
That's true.
Well, I want to make sure it's cool with her so we can move along.
Can you tell us who
Okay.
it
She
is?
says go for it, guys. Okay. David Yannetti followed Nurse Kim today on Twitter.
I love that.
Can I get
We're so happy for her.
Amen.
My chair's squeaking from my happy dance.
I followed David Yannetti once, but the cops told me to knock it off. So then I was not.
They're like, Jason, stop it.
She's officially a star.
Kim's officially been a star since like the moment she started doing this. Do you guys want us to tell us in the chat? Do you want us to read more? Because that was kind of fun. I'll bring up another one of Olivia's posts. Do you think we should read some more and then react? I don't know. Tell me in the chat. Thank you very much for you generous people. You guys are like beyond awesome. Everett, love Nurse Kim. Yeah, we got to get the Nurse Kim love in there. Love a Roni with cheese.
I just keep going to events down there because I'm hoping eventually I actually run into Nurse Kim and meet her in person. So that's my.
I have a question for you boys while
go ahead,
DJ's
ma'am.
looking for something to read.
Okay.
So do you think that Morrissey knows how to spell Karen Reed? Or do you think that the misspellings, do you think the misspellings were a mistake?
Because it autocorrects. Like it doesn't autocorrect to READ, right?
No, it autocorrects it all the time. So, I have doubts that I'm starting to feel like that Morrissey might be one step above Ken Mello in terms of his legal skill and acumen. And, the truth of the matter is he's never been known for his legal skill. He's a politician, right? And at the end of the day, I'm gonna actually out this because I feel like I can. in the western part of the state in Springfield, Mass, there was a state senator or representative, I don't remember, by the name of Brian Lees. And for a period of time, my father worked with him at a non-political job. And there was a memo that came out, and I'm sure he didn't type his own memos. I'm sure it was he was the boss, and I'm sure it was his secretary that made a mistake. But instead of Brian Lees, they wrote Brainless. So they spelled both his first name wrong and his last name wrong. And he wasn't smart enough to stop that. No, I'm just kidding. He was actually a really nice guy, and he probably was smart enough. He probably didn't see it before it went out. But I think things like that happen, and I do think that every time I'm tweeting about Karen Reed or I'm doing something, I'm always going back and overriding the autocorrect. So I think it probably was somewhere along the line that it happened. But I'll hold out a little bit of possibility that he's just a moron. So.
All right. All right. Man, I've got the thing on. I was looking for more stuff on Olivia, and it's like she has so much stuff. But this one is on Shannon Burgess. So I don't know if you guys would find that entertaining to read. But if so, I will bring it up, and if not, I will not. It's your choice, yeah, Jason Broyles. I got an amen from Aussie Insider, and
I love it.
And since she's the boss, and like if she giggles, I'm probably gonna like hide under the desk. So, but yeah, I definitely got to get a thumbs up from you and Britt.
I feel like I also feel like I need to, now that you mentioned that, on Thursdays, and now I think we're going to do a different day going forward, but I've been doing a little Spaces event with Lacey Jane. And I don't know. I think the reason that I've done so many of those is that when Lacey laughs, she snorts, and I find it so entertaining that I literally go on the Spaces just to make her laugh, because it makes me laugh every time she laughs. So I do think that there's some validity in your observation about Aussie Insider.
I'm telling you, I love her, man. All right, so I'll bring this up, and real quick, I was just gonna say about Judge Biv. I mean, like her bringing up the whole thing about saying, "Hey, Mr. Lally, do you want to object?" Not demanding that they state the nature of their objection. I think it really, really derailed when you have high-powered attorneys that are really good on these sort of building on these narratives that you have to start them, they develop, and they crescendo. And I feel like they were able to. Here's Suzanne. I have a smart and wicked. Snort laugh. I have that too sometimes. I guarantee I'm going to be doing it that night in Massachusetts. We might end up taking a damn Uber back to the hotel. No, so all right, I'm going to bring this up, and let's see if we can get to it. And once again, we're going to start out with our guest of honor. And by the thank you for all the gifted memberships. And now you're going to hear the dulcet tones of Jason and the very poetic voice of Britt Happens, and then you'll bear with me. So how does that look? Can you guys read that? Is that okay?
I'm good with it.
Okay. There we go. Go for it, Jason.
I'm going to change to a different voice, I think.
Okay.
Despite the Commonwealth's new expert, I'm just kidding. Despite the Commonwealth's new expert, Shannon Burgess, not knowing the basic difference between bits and bytes, a mistake that should give the CW pause about having him conducting any potentially destructive testing on such critical evidence, Hank Brennan actually argued that their expert is very astute.
Go ahead, Britt.
Arguing that your supposed expert in vehicle data storage chips is a very astute, I don't think she meant to put A there, is very astute when he confused gigabits with gigabytes is like saying your distance measurements expert is very astute when they don't know the difference between inches and miles. It's laughable.
Nonetheless, due to the Commonwealth's malfeasance, Karen Reed yet again had to find and hire an actual competent expert, Matthew D. Segura, who accurately pointed out that Burgess' fundamental misunderstanding of the data components. How's that, Jason? Was that okay?
Magically delicious.
Thank you, bro.
Rather than
come on, can I get some from the chat from Irish? Aussie, where are you at? Kim, come on. Tough
Dr.
crowd here.
Sheridan. Oh.
Forgot to do
Rather
the
than
breeze.
promptly, oh, sorry. Are you ready?
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Take two. Rather than promptly filing an amended report or seeking out a new competent expert who doesn't disqualify himself from being an expert by not knowing the difference between bits and bytes, Hank Brennan doubled down today in court. Hold on. In an argument that raises deeply troubling questions about the CW's intent with this new request.
Not only did Brennan defend his incompetent expert as being highly qualified and very astute after this huge blunder, he even argued that he should be allowed to perform the highly specialized, delicate, and potentially destructive testing on these data chips that the Commonwealth's own experts/witnesses testified were completely destroyed, Trooper Guarino, during the destructive chip-off procedure previously conducted.
Furthermore, Brennan argued that they should be allowed to have their incompetent expert do this procedure in secrecy without the defense's expert present. Now, this was a huge red flag and particularly struck me as odd.
Sorry, you
Jesus.
caught me.
It's okay, Brennan. There you go. Top of the screen.
In fairness, I was trying to reply to a DM from Brett. So, forget about wanting to push forward with someone who's clearly unqualified to handle evidence so paramount to this case. But why would you have any problem with the defense's expert being present if you weren't hiding anything or trying to pull some funny business?
The defendant has a right to have her expert present, particularly for testing that's potentially destructive or exhaustive. DJ's scrolling real fast.
Is this one good? I'm sorry. And why is Hank Brennan so insistent on keeping the defense's far superior, more qualified expert out while wanting to rush forward into testing with this unqualified expert?
This truly makes one question what the Commonwealth's real motivations and true intentions are here, because they certainly don't seem honest.
But beyond...
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, DJ.
Nurse Kim, can you read mine for the next one, please?
But beyond all of that, what's of critical importance that Hank Brennan doesn't seem to understand is that his expert's misunderstanding and fundamental error, confusing gigabits and gigabytes, means that his conclusions that there are more data not yet retrieved from the chips is entirely false.
Okay, and where am I? Okay. Am I at, so the question is now?
No, all of the data.
Oh, there. All of the data were retrieved from the data chips during the destructive chip-off procedure performed during the last trial. In other words, having Shannon Burgess perform any sort of procedure on these chips would be futile, as there is no data left to be retrieved, for God's sakes.
I didn't see that last bit in there, but it's all right. I'm grading you.
Dr. Sheridan, he gets fired up, man.
The first time you read, you added just at the beginning too, but I wasn't mentioning it. The current issue, as it relates to the data that have already been retrieved from the chips, is that the Broyles software that reads the data on these chips didn't come out with an update for the 2021 Lexus LX 570 until late December 2023, from my research. Coincidentally, just days after the Commonwealth, with help from the defense expert Maggie Gaffney, performed the destructive chip-off procedure. What a coincidence, huh?
So the question now is, what is the Commonwealth up to? Why would they want to exclude the defense's expert from being present during testing on data chips that they already have all the data from? And why is the Commonwealth still misrepresenting to the court that there are any data left to retrieve when Hank Brennan's concession today in court that his expert did, in fact, mistake bits for bytes, proved this not to be true? What say ye?
What
Hashtag
say you,
Jeremy
Jason? Hashtag Canton cover up. Hashtag Olivia Lambo. You're amazing. We love you.
Hashtag
I think that it actually really. I think it's a strategic error for him to have started out his appearance in this case in that way. Obviously, there wasn't much he could do about the fact that he made the mistake between the bits and the bytes. It was kind of ridiculous. But how Brennan chose to approach that, to me, why would you even request that? You know how bad it's going to look when you request that the defense's expert not be there. I know he was trying to make some point in regard to trying to lay this concept of you can't trust the defense's experts, and the defense does. It's just really, it's bad form. It's bad lawyering. It's bad all the way around. You want to enter a case, and I'm not a lawyer, but I can give a bit of lawyerly advice here. You want to enter a case in any way you can to avoid pissing off the judge, and that is not to take unnecessary jabs at the other side. You want to represent your client and get your jabs in, but to come right off the bat and basically make a statement that the defense's experts can't be trusted, that's not going to be met well in court, and it doesn't make you look well out of the gate. You want to come in and look like your goal is not to convict Karen Reed. Your goal is to get to the truth of the matter. And when you're trying to hide things right out of the gate, it's a horrible look.
I wanted to own up to Kevin. I absolutely did go Northern England and Irish all in the same one, and to like sort of straight British RP. So you're 100% right. I think it was this one right here. I totally screwed the one up. That was bad. So I wasn't able to. I switched like right in the middle. So, and I didn't
it had me giggling.
I didn't get any Scottish in this time. Let me see. I haven't done my Scottish in a while. There's a great UFO host named Andy McGrillen. He's from Glasgow, so I sort of use that Glaswegian as my template for Scottish. But yeah, I'd have to get in it. But thank you, thank you very much, Kim. I mean, next time you come on, we're definitely going to do readings, because I want to hear you do a dramatic reading. And I think it'll just blow everybody away. I know it'll blow me away. I also go ahead,
DJ.
sir.
I just want to say I heard a little foghorn leghorn in there too, so I didn't know what was going on. I was having a moment of like Southern plantation owner working its way into that accent.
What boy?
All right, and let me put this one up. Let me say what's up to Romy. Love Romy with cheese. Thank you so much for your $9.99 gift to Calling All Beings, Sidebar and Grill, and Sarah and Shock and Horror. John O'Keefe was my friend, and I loved him. Jennifer McCabe. I'm sorry. All right, I'm back with you guys now. In the private chat. Nurse Kim in the chat. Yeah, I didn't see Nurse Kim in there. A superstar, and Suzanne Cleveland, for God's sakes, is here. So,
being from the western part of Massachusetts, I feel like such a fraud because we don't have that accent. You know what I mean? And so people are like, "Oh, you're gonna park the car in Harvard Yard," and I'm like, "No, I'm not," because that's not. I lived 90 miles west of Boston, and we just never the accent never made it that far.
Rasmussen, you hear enough from me, man. You know how much your presence means. You hear from me all the damn time. Anyway, you know what? We have a lot of people in this community that have no accent. Mazza doesn't have an accent, right? He has no accent. He's right in the belly of the beast. Brian has a little bit. It's really interesting, that some people just don't. I'm trying to think of who else I've heard. Suzanne, our friend who's in the chat, Suzanne Cleveland, does not have a very strong accent. Sometimes it's your parents kind of demand, and my parents did not want us to have a New York accent. And if we came home speaking like that, my dad would correct me. He was not down. He grew up in Brooklyn, and he did not want us to talk like that, even if we were hanging around people that were from the city. Kevin, the Sallyport camera, once again, thank you for the forgiveness on me mixing, Foghorn Leghorn, Northern England, and Irish all in one reading. Do the panel think Hank Brennan should get consideration on not understanding procedure from Canoni, given Lally is second chair? We're doing that resonates with Britt because she's a saxophone player. Go ahead, Jason. What's your opinion on this, and then we'll go to Britt, please.
Well, Brett would be first chair in my orchestra. I just want to put that out there. But
Oh, shucks.
Woo! And
But,
she's
but
still gonna
aside,
have lunch with you, Jason. I want you to know that.
it's true.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah,
We
she
still
is.
need to have that lunch. Yeah.
I'm in. I love that. But in terms of that, no, I mean, he gets a little bit of consideration from being a defense attorney and not a prosecutor for so long. So I will give him that. But Lally, I mean, no one has to. Someone posted a clip the other day of David Dinetti walking over and saying something to Hank Brennan and like mentioning something at the prosecution table. And Lally didn't even blink, like he didn't flinch. He just stared straight ahead. I actually thought for a minute there that it might be a cardboard cutout of Lally that they put in place on the chair for that portion because it was almost like robotic. So when I was looking at it, I just said to myself, that dude is literally just a body that they've put here. I think they lobotomized him before they sent him back into court because there was no human reactions were happening from him. So I won't blame Hank for not picking up anything from him.
Britt, what's your thought about should Hank get consideration on not understanding procedure from Canoni? Remember when she said, "Oh, Mr. Lally will show you how to fill out the form."
Yeah, the form. I saw very few signs of life myself from Brennan. I have a few very small thoughts on that. Yes, I'm with you, Jason. He, at least in a very long time, has not prosecuted a case. I also feel like Hank has a kind of a dual purpose of being there. I feel like he is there to somewhat backhandedly defend Morrissey in the process of prosecuting Karen. So, that's why I believe that Morrissey even brought on a defense attorney in the first place. And that may also serve as a little bit of a cover so that if there are any motions made that are just blatantly wrong, Hank can have a little bit of plausible deniability. I don't know. I don't have a ton of thoughts there, but
I actually think that's an interesting take because, I mean, I think at this point, there's probably 99.59 certainty that Morrissey has engaged a defense attorney for himself already. Especially, I mean, it would be ridiculous to think that he wouldn't because everyone, including him, thinks he's the probe of the FBI. He's the subject of the FBI probe. But I also do think that you're right. I think even if it wasn't an intention, he certainly could play into that in terms of his inexperience in order to cover some of his mistakes in court. And on top of that, though, I think it's interesting that you bring it up that way because I felt that when I heard that Brennan was the one reviewing Morrissey's iCloud email account to see what was disclosable or not disclosable. That kind of struck me because to me, it was almost like you want a taint team, like they talk about. I laugh every time I say taint, but you want a taint team like that they talk about, or a special master to go through those things because it's not just an issue in this case. Like that's the point that I can't make enough. We know it's an issue in Turtle Boy's case. We know that the attorneys here have done it, but my prediction is that the floodgates are going to open and we're going to see it in cases both open and in motions for new trials for cases that have already closed.
absolutely.
Relative to that question, I feel like Hank should have known. I don't know if it was Mark that I heard on, or I think actually it was Melanie Little, that he's admitted to the bar in Massachusetts. He should be aware of certain procedures, and I don't think he looked particularly awesome. I have a diatribe I can do about Hank, and maybe I'll throw it out here and get your reaction, and then we have. Well, let's get to something funny first, because we have something funny here from Kim, a mission that she's doing. By the way, you can follow Nurse Kim on YouTube and TikTok. I'm sure all of you are, because all of you are, haven't been living under any sort of a rock. So what I want to say about Hank is this, because this came up today on Twitter or yesterday, and I was messaging Britt about it. people that think that Hank is some sort of a man of principle and man of morals and could potentially, because he has the authority as the special assistant district attorney in this case. So there's two things I'll tell you I don't believe, and this is the first one, and that he would potentially see evidence that would be exculpatory of Karen, and therefore see that there's no point of prosecuting this case and therefore dismiss it. So I got to tell you this. That ain't happening in this lifetime. Okay? That is not happening. And I'm going to tell you why. So if you have faith in Hank and you think he's a good guy and he's persecuted for government corruption, I want to just disabuse you of this notion. Morrissey is a very cunning and very devious figure, and a very smart figure, and that's how he's gotten where he is for this period of time, as despicable a person as he might be. He will have interviewed Hank Brennan extensively. He will have laid out his theory of the case and his facts of the case, and he will have 100% certainty in his mind that he's going forward with this case to the end. Actually, I have three things to tell you. The second thing I'm going to tell you is he's not going to convict Karen. He knows that they're not going to convict Karen because he knows there's a mountain of reasonable doubt here, as Mark Betterow has so eloquently put out on a number of occasions. Okay? So they are going for another hung jury. That's what they're going for. They just didn't want to get a complete acquittal, and they knew in the hands of Lally and with the same knuckleheads that were on the stand for the prosecution last time, Trooper Paul, Trooper Proctor, Buchanan, Trooper Guarino, and all these meatheads, that they could potentially see this woman acquitted. So Hank was hired to get another hung jury, and they could use all their little tricks to try to dismiss somebody who looked pro-Karen like they did last time, and they'll do the exact same thing this time, and they know they're going to end up with at least one holdout. So that's what they're going for here, is going for a hung jury, and there is zero chance that Hank is going to, if he just talked to Josh Levy and went down and spoke with the FBI, he would no, he's not doing that. And I'm going to make the third thing. The third issue is that these guys are competitive people. Mm-hmm. They want to win. And he wants to show, I can kick the shit out of this dream team that they brought in there, the California lawyer, who's really from Texas, and then Dave Yannetti, and then this other Goomba they brought in from New York, Robert Alisi. Yeah. So that's what he's thinking. He's saying, I want to kick these guys' ass. There is zero chance he's going to dismiss this case. And I'm finished. Go ahead. Please, go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, so I think you're right. I think there would have been a litmus test for any lawyer that was going to come on, that you had to agree in advance that you were here to take the case and that you were going to prosecute the case, not that you were going to, there was all that talk in the beginning. I'm going to take a fair look at the evidence. And no, there's no way you were coming onto this case unless you were committed to prosecuting it right from the start. Mm-hmm. I think you say that there is zero chance. I do think that if something outrageous comes out in court, there is a chance that we get the Alec Baldwin situation happening, where you have the special prosecutor in that case. It was revealed that there was this egregious behavior by the prosecutor, by the DA in that case. And then the special prosecutor then said, I don't want any part in this. And he walked out. I think we have the chance for something like that here. If something horrific comes out about Morrissey's emails, or we find out that there's been some other kind of ex parte communication that literally spells out that the fix is in, or that they've completely violated Karen's rights, I think there's a chance that at some point, everyone, I know we don't talk politics, but at some point, everyone makes a political calculation, just like we haven't reached that point with the governor and the attorney general in Mass yet. But at some point, the scale tips and people say, I'm getting the heck out of this,
And if you could do me a favor, Britt, and you could scroll up, there was someone that had a question for you guys, all in caps. I want to make sure I don't miss that.
Oh,
if you
sure.
could help me out with that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you to Mavis Kane. Thank you so much for the $10. I really appreciate it. And Mavis, and that is a female name. I think Bev has been more restrained. She's already toned down the blonde. I happen to agree with you, Mavis. The hair color, I think, is a window into Bev. If she shows up with dark highlights, if she shows up with blue or pink tones, I'm going to become very concerned. I think the hair color is very significant. Jason, would you agree?
I definitely do. I think it's probably the most important thing. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I just, the Brit says Jennifer, the best impression of her so far. Absolutely. I mean, let's face it. I think Kim can probably do the best. Nurse Kim, I love listening to you and your accent. Most people don't like the sound of their own voice. Yes, Kim. Well, Kim has heard me say how much I love her accent. Let me just say this for the crowd. So, being in the Air Force for 21 years, and then I've had like another, I don't know, 11 years, 12 years in doing other government gigs, you get to know people from all over the country. Jason knows this from being in basic. And even in his, the time he was in the Marine Corps, you hear accents from everybody, and it is so awesome to hear people from Washington and Idaho and Wisconsin versus Minnesota. What are the subtleties between Wisconsin and Minnesota and Chicago and all these different regions? And Texas, is a very different accent than Louisiana and Alabama. So I love accents, and I've always loved them. And Kim has just an amazing, wonderful accent.
Even the regional words, right? Like you learn what they call, you hear a Grinders, I'm going to go to Subway and get a sandwich. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Somewhere else it's a sub. Other places it's a parking lot, right? Like you have all of these, words that it's really interesting. It's an interesting perspective that people who weren't in the military don't usually get. And I do think there's almost this thing where you could solve a lot of society's ills by, I'm not a fan of conscription service, but you could solve a lot of society's ills because it's going to be really hard for you to be in the military and be a racist. It's going to be really hard for you to be in the military and be a sexist. It's going to be really hard for you to be in these different positions because you are forced into these situations where you work with such a diverse group of people and all kind of for a common goal. You're all there for the same reason. And it really does bring people together in a way that you don't normally see necessarily in everyday society. It's a really neat, that's probably my favorite aspect of having been in the military is that I got a chance to have my eyes open to a much wider worldview than I would have gotten had I stayed, had I continued my career as a music major at the local community college for one semester.
Yeah, the only people that really, Jason's 100% correct. You get to interact with people from all over the country. The people that hold on to that are really the true racists, the people that really just want to, they're ideologues that really just want to belong to a group. They want to hate. There's people that the people that sit there and watch cable news all day long. They're the people that they want to hate somebody. So they want to hate whoever the other side is. So they just consume that cable news and they let it just agitate them. And then they go out and they spew it. And you do have those people that hold on to it, but they're, and they'll get kicked out. They'll go do room inspection over there at Fort Bragg and they'll find that someone has like Nazi flags on their wall and stuff. And then they'll say, all right, we need to find another place for you. And it's not going to be the United States Army or United States Marine Corps. But they're few and far between. So, all right, we got a question here that Britt's going to read in the accent of Judge Bev.
Oh, boy. All right, I got to put on my glasses then. Jason, did you see my Auntie Bev costume?
I did not.
Number one.
I'll send you some photos or videos.
The best Judge Bev of Halloween. I'm sorry if everybody else out there.
Well, I mean, I probably did, right? Because I was standing there. If you walked around in the line there, I was standing there, so I probably did see it. I don't know.
No, she wasn't at the party.
Oh, you were at the party. So just your Halloween costume.
She did it in Florida, yeah, like where nobody knew it, which makes it even better. Go ahead.
There was one person. There was one person who figured it out.
I love that.
That's partially because I was carrying a rubber ducky.
And remind me of after we're done reading this and answering Lisa's question, and thank you, Lisa Love, I'm going to tell you the story about talking to John Como and coming out of the indoor pool in Colorado Springs and what someone came up and said to me when they heard me talking to John Como. Go ahead, please, ma'am.
All right, so Lisa says, question with her hand up. Why are they focusing on a Cobb when John O'Keefe was beaten to death? That body has in injuries that do not at all fit a car pedestrian collision? Will they bring more medical experts? Lisa, I am right there with you.
Thank you, Judge Bev.
It was good. It was good.
I need to get we need to send Nurse Kim a link to the show so that she can answer this question, because this is this is clearly a Nurse Kim question. Nurse Kim, if you want a link, just put a Y in the chat so I can get you on. Because I don't want to send you a link and have her go, I don't have my hair on and whatever. So,
so what I'll say is, as someone who has been hit by a car, who has actually been struck by a vehicle, you get a lot more than just injuries to your noggin. Okay, you're gonna see, and this is just common sense. I mean, Nurse Kim can absolutely go into more detail about this than any of the three of us can, but common sense says that if you see no injuries south of the skull, then it probably wasn't a car. You're going to see pelvic injuries. I have, just from my wreck, where it was a full-size GMC Sierra versus me. 8 fractures to my hip. Almost every rib on my right side was broken. I still have a bone fragment in my shoulder. I sprained my back. So just saying, it's something that I wish they would focus more on. Your hair is on.
I didn't know it's, because some people are like, oh, I don't have, my hair's not done, or I don't have makeup on. Kim, I mean, when you have a beautiful face like yours, I mean, look, I'm on YouTube with this face. That means anybody can be on YouTube. That should tell you. I mean, I wish I looked like Jason, for God's sakes. So, Kim,
I'll send her the link.
I sent her the link. Oh, yeah, you could send it to her on her phone, but it's in your Twitter DM, Kim, if you'd like to join us and talk about injuries. And then we'll close the show because we're getting near the end here. We love you, Kim.
This is my favorite part. I'm a fan. So.
Yeah, let me see if she saw it.
I just texted you the link, Kimmy.
There you go, there, Kim. Log on to 34 Fairview in Canton so you can talk to Jennifer McCabe, the class of 1994's best-looking girl.
He's a chicken walk.
Yeah, what's his face say? The fit, attractive soccer mom from Canton. Oh, shoot. I got to believe everything she says now, man. I mean, thank you so much, Clerk Jim. Thank you, bro, man. You're a gentleman. Thank you for being a member. Thank you for being a member, mate. Maybe that's where my Scottish accent is. I needed to do it when we were reading. Oh, wait, that sounds a little more like Liverpool. I did it again. I did it again. All right.
But good news. The Beatles are just extending an invitation for you to join, so you're probably all right.
I'm going to tell you what, the Fab Four, man. Britt wrote, what did you write? A whole paper? Okay, Britt wrote, I don't know, 20-something pages on one song of the Beatles that was like, what was it? Yellow Submarine? Or
I'm the Walrus.
I'm the Walrus, yeah.
The longer paper was actually on Disney's Fantasia, the 1940 version, not the 2000 one. But it was on Tchaikovsky's use of musical imagery and how Disney kind of tried to recreate that. It was a lot of fun. It was a fun project. But yes, I did do a whole lot of analysis on I'm the Walrus.
Oh, and there she is from Reality Check. Thank you. Love you too. And also want to say here, I love you, Suzanne Cleveland. You're an amazing warrior and person in this joint. So thank you, Suzanne Cleveland. No, I'm from Liverpool, and you don't sound like a Scout. Yeah, but I wasn't putting it all the way on. But you know what, Brit Gal, I love you because Scouse is my favorite British accent of all of them. I love the Scouse accent. So one love to you. and you are welcome to come on here. Hey, hold up, man. Let me get everything ready because we about to do something. Okay, here we go.
Thank you, Romy.
Yeah! Can I get a yeah? Oh man! For my home girl, Nurse Kim. Give it up, party people. Don't play no games with me.
Amen.
DJ, I can't. You get my head too big. There's been so much I wanted to say. First and foremost, I love all your faces. Hello, lovies. Thank you for inviting me up for a second with this kick-ass panel. We got DJ. We've got Jason Broyles, who is like,
Legend.
all I'm going to tell you is that your penmanship and the beautiful things and the way that you lay stuff out, Jason, is 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Chef's kiss, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And things that I have no idea. Like, you go behind the scenes where I'm like, I am very out of the loop or unaware, and thank you for making me aware.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And Britt, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? My TikTok sister from another mister, obsessed, incredible creator, and I cannot wait, Britt, till you have your YouTube. I am so proud of you, and you're just gonna be incredible, and I know you will, and I'll be there to support you.
Thank you, darling.
She's gonna kill it, man. She's gonna kill it. Ain't no doubt about it. And her first guest is amazing. I'm already trying to piggyback off of her for her first guest, who's really dope. And you know what? So we do have something for Kim that we're gonna be able to get her to read, because I know that. And so we got to at least get like a paragraph. But I got two things to say before we get to that. I want to thank. We just had Romy. Thank you so much, love. Is Nurse Kim grabbing a Diet Coke for the
Have a Diet Coke?
My girl, I didn't even grab one. I just was like, oh, I've been summoned. It's time to go. I got one in the fridge. I will get one afterwards. But thank you, my lover, Romy with cheese. He's the best.
I was about to say that. I also want to make an announcement real quick. We're having our first listener roundtable next week. So I think everybody's a member, but even if you're not a member and you want to be on the roundtable, you're welcome to be on the roundtable. So next week we're having Sarah Shock-and-Horror. We're having Sherry D. We're having Dr. Jones. We're having Miss Jessica NB. I'm trying to remember who else is going to be on there, but this is the first listener roundtable we're going to have. And then if you didn't get on this one, we're going to do another one. But guess what, folks? You can get on Calling All Beings. You don't have to be a Nurse Kim to get up in this joint. That's what I got to tell you.
Oh no.
So, all right.
That's a great panel. I have interacted, I think, with every single person that's going to be on your panel, and they're always they're so insightful in their questions in the comments. So I'm excited for that show. I'm definitely going to be in the audience on that one. So
yeah, I'm very excited too. I want people to have the opportunity to come on air and share their views, because they don't have their own YouTube, but they can still come on, and that's why we're doing it. I'm like, what the hell can I do? I mean, I've never had members before. I got members. What can I do? Well, hell, let's give them a roundtable. They can come on air. So, but I know y'all want to hear Nurse Kim read, because she just has the gift. She has the gift. What do you want me to tell you? She has the gift. So, Kim,
Does she have the gift to read? Jeez, that's not been. No, I'm gonna give it a whirl, babe.
I'm going full screen. I'm gonna put my glasses. Tell me if you can see that. Is that okay?
Okay, she can see it.
Okay.
All right, I'm reading. This
go.
is from Ms. Olivia Lambo, the Queen.
The legend.
And so, all right, she's just going in. Good news for anyone who's been charged with witness intimidation in Norfolk County. 4 days ago, a former Dover Select Board member, John Jeffries, faced arraignment on firearm charges and 3 counts of felony witness intimidation. Post coming soon. on how you can get all your witness intimidation charges dropped like he did if you issue an apology based on new precedent set by Norfolk County DA Michael Morrissey's office.
Can I get it?
Look at that. Look at that man. Does he not make you medically uncomfortable, babes? When you see him, you think to yourself, that is one, cough away from a cardiac event. And I mean that lovingly.
I will be using the phrase medically uncomfortable going forward. Thank you.
Whenever I feel bad about my looks, I just kind of like have a look through Twitter. I look at his posts, and you know what? I don't look that bad actually now that I see him. So
well, and I hate to say that. I hate to it's a medical uncomfortable. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking to myself like, ooh, I wanna help you. But there are also things that sometimes I get a little bit. I get a little worked up, and I've been known to call him penguin adjacent, and that is when that's rude. You know what I mean? But there's a great show on.
If it makes you feel any better, Kim, I think you saw the video I did in which I accidentally on purpose put up a picture of Jabba the Hutt and was talking about Morrissey.
it was so close.
See that and like that.
Right. I meant it as more of a mob boss thing, but the more I did it, the more I realized how visually appropriate it was too. And so I just rolled with it. So
it really was close to home. It really did look like more. It really did look.
Nurse Kim, I do think that he should thank you, because as someone who has also made nurses medically uncomfortable myself, I love nurses, and I definitely respected every one of their opinions in the Now mine was a little bit different. I wasn't just a fat old liar. I had cancer. So, and on November 22nd was my 5-year mark from ringing the bell at my last chemo treatment. So, but I spent a great deal of time in the hospital while I was going through treatment, because my blood counts would drop so fast, so frequently. I kind of grew this respect for nurses that really, I always liked nurses. I mean, who can honestly say I don't like nurses, right? I always liked nurses, but I've grown such a respect for your profession, and you can just truly see that it's a calling. So every time I have an opportunity to appear with a nurse, I have to take a second and just say, like, without nurses, I would not be alive. It's not even a question. So I love your profession, and I respect you so much for doing it. So thank you very much for that. And Morrissey should thank you too, because if he hears your words, maybe it'll inspire him to actually get to the doctor and maybe listen to the advice of the nurses who are going to spend the most time with him when he visits the doctor. So,
Jason, that is beautiful, and I'm so happy that you are coming up on your 5 years. That is miraculous, and that is a testament to you. And I know that any of my patients who have gone through their journeys with cancer and have come out, the ones that have been lucky enough to come out on the other end, it is a profound experience. And I respect you for having to endure everything that you did. And, it's our pleasure to care for you. And I didn't clearly care for you, but I'm sure that your nurses, it's wonderful to hear the impact they made on you.
Thank you.
Oh. Yeah, and I agree. When I heard that, I was just kind of like saying a prayer directly to Jason, because when I hear that, obviously at our age, you start losing friends to cancer. So we're blessed that you're still here, and so happy that you're still here with us and contributing. So that's awesome, Jason. Really.
Well, frankly, the cancer is a lot of the reason that I do what I do, because you do get to a point where you start to think about your own legacy, and you start to think about what kind of differences have I made in the world, and have I been able to make things better for anybody, and have I been able to stand up for what I believe. And I have basically, over the last 5 years since then, I have restructured my life in such a way that I've made time to do more things in life that I want to accomplish before I go, because you really start to think think about it. I've spent more time with friends. I've done all kinds of things to reshape my life. My definition of success has changed a little bit than it was prior to that. And so it's one of the reasons that I do. If you look at any given time, I've probably gotten 30 DMs since we started this tonight from people who are telling me their stories in my DMs, who are asking for help with things, who are doing that. And that's what I prioritize now. It's a little bit different. I still need to work. I still need to make money. I still do those things, but a lot more now I prioritize and how can I make an impact on the lives of my family, on the lives of my friends, and on the lives of people who I haven't even met yet in some cases. So
I've gotten like 5 DMs that have said you should really rethink doing a YouTubes. I don't know what they mean by that. I don't know if that's like encouragement or if it's. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Don't talk about my friend like that.
I know all the other nurses out there are really bummed because like now everybody's favorite nurse is Kim. So it's kind of
No,
like, you know.
No. I listen. Okay, I appreciate everybody, and there was like an actual love fest that my cheeks were red in this chat. So that is so awesome and kind for you, for me to hear. But it's also uncomfortable because I'm just Kim. I'm just a mom. I'm just a nurse, and I am like there are so many more deserving, nurses and everybody else. But I'm so thankful to be here with all of you, and thank you for answering my FaceTimes and just listening to what I think a lot of us in the community have seen. And there just hasn't been a ton of representation of nurses, I found. So I thought that, hey, what the hell, go for it, Kim. You know what I mean? Just give it a whirl and say what everybody is saying in all of the settings, whether you're at a hospital, whether you are in home care. All of the nurses, all of the doctors, and all of the nurse practitioners specifically with this case have said that Officer John O'Keefe's injuries are not only not consistent with a car accident or a low-speed reverse motor vehicle accident. I just went over Renee Stonebridge, the neuropathologist in Trial 1, and I did a stream reacting to her testimony. And for me, guys, this was it. This was it. And of course, it's so important to say about our abrasions, right? Like there's okay, so he's got these abrasions on the arm. He's got this 2.5-inch laceration to the right occiput of his brain. But at the end of the day, it was what was happening inside his skull that I said sealed the deal. And I pray that, Mr. Yannetti and Mr. Jackson and Eliza Little take the opportunity at next trial to cross her, because that is going to be what I believe would push the jury over from reasonable doubt or thinking something was happening. When you see the catastrophic damage to Officer John O'Keefe's brain, to subarachnoid bleeds in his frontal lobes, on bilateral, both side temporal lobes, we have a herniated brainstem, which would not, I can conclusively say, legit, okay, medically,
sorry,
would not occur from a 6'2" man, right? Go from a stand position to falling and striking his head one time in the back of his skull. Doesn't happen. That is not A plus B equals C, my friends. That is multiple impacts, and you can't get around that.
Kim, so I have some questions about that. No, I'm so glad you said that, because I don't know that I've heard you say that, and maybe it's just my ignorance here. But do you think that there were multiple strikes in the same spot, or do you think he was hit in that one spot where the wound was, or was there different areas?
Well, see, that's interesting. So if you are standing, we have what's called a coup and a counter coup injury, which you could get from boxing and from other different ways you can obtain this. Also from impact injuries, but it would not occur from someone just striking their head one time to the back. It could occur if somebody was struck with a object in motion, because then the stationary item, the stationary object, which is Officer John O'Keefe, then his head is going back and forth causing injury. But when an object hits a stationary, when a stationary item hits the ground, a moving item hits the ground, you would not be able to. He would only have bleeds in the back of his head. There would never be frontal bleeds from him striking his head on the back of his head on the ground. Does not happen. Cannot happen, because your brain would never have inside the skull. It wouldn't reverberate, right? Because you're just going down. It never made sense for there to be these frontal bleeds. And there was also other damage to Officer John O'Keefe's brain that were so many petechial hemorrhages that she couldn't even count them. She was unable to count them. Okay.
Whoa.
When this was just found out when I rewatched the testimony, because when I had been on your show previously, DJ, we had discussed, I was like, this doesn't make sense for A, B, C, and D. But I'm telling you, neuropathologist Renee Stonebridge was, for me, what sent it over the edge for, medically speaking, bulletproof evidence that this was not what the Commonwealth has told us their theory is. Impossible.
Okay, let me just hit you with a secondary, and this is just trying to debunk or maybe even support my hypothesis of what happened in the basement. And so if he would have been, let's say he punched, I'm just going to say Higgins, for example, in the face. Higgins punches him in the face. He falls back, and those two cradles that hold the squat bar, that there's those two cradles that you would re-rack your squat bar. If he were to fall and hit his head on that, would it cause that injury? And that's why I ask you, is it multiple blows? Was it him falling, hitting his head, and then hitting the floor? Or do you think it was more like him standing and someone struck him from behind with an object, with a metal object or some sort of heavy, blunt object?
Yeah. So, DJ, I don't know what happened. Okay. Right? Like, I don't know. But what would make more sense to me would be the second option, right? Was that something happened while he was in a position that was not on the ground, is what I will say. Okay. And how I've always tried to approach the case is that, again, I'm not Mass State Police. We're not, you know what I mean? And I didn't investigate. That was Chippy Proctor's job. And unfortunately, let's do it one time because she's here. Punch a Proctor, okay? I did not investigate.
Yeah.
But I feel so confident that I can rule out that Karen Reed's almost 7,000-pound Lexus did not cause the injuries that he succumbed to and that ended Officer John O'Keefe's life that tragic early morning on January 29th, 2022.
And
so
the
Ken,
reason... I'm sorry. Go ahead, love. Go ahead. I'll come back. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you feel that upon cross, Renee Stonebridge could possibly say, no, this guy, in order to obtain these injuries, essentially would have had to have taken multiple blows to the head rather than it being...
That's so smart. That's so smart, Brett, that you asked that, because no questions were asked of her, right? And what Lally asked was, could this have occurred from a fall? And she said, yes, it could have. And I was out of my tits, because of course it could have, but he must have been from a 3-story building. He could have fallen, absolutely, and had something happen like that. But let's put this into context, babes, because him from 6'2" down to frozen ground, didn't do it. Okay. And that is where those questions that come in from Liza Little, whoever, from David Yannetti, whoever decides to do the cross, I beg of them to ask those specifics, right? Because if somebody said, could this have occurred from a standing to the ground, she would have said, is it possible? I guess, but is it probable? No. And here is where we can get into the thick of it. And then we can ask, is it possible? Is it possible or probable that he was struck by an object such as a weight or a bat or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Whatever we want to go through from the defense would make a huge difference. When you're kind of cross-examining someone who is a quadruple board certified physician like Renee Stonebridge is with her sleeves, okay? Oh, stop it. Tell me more. I was obsessed.
She's hot. Yeah.
Oh my God. Hot. But like, those are the things that I think there becomes maybe a little bit of a, well, she didn't say anything that was going to hurt Karen at all, but we could have gotten, in my humble medical opinion, it really could have been so incredibly beneficial for the defense to get in and ask her where she has seen similar injuries, right? Where have you ever, because I know she has, in what cases have you seen something like this? It's never going to be from what the Commonwealth is trying to sell us as a bill of goods in Commonwealth First Read.
Well, Chica, you now can send David Yannetti a little DM.
Well, first of all, she has his number. I have his number. I mean, if it's a matter of Nurse Kim getting a Yannetti, that ain't gonna be that very hard to make that happen. You've spoken with him. I've spoken with him. I got his damn number. I will call the guy if that's what it takes. So.
He's a busy man, but
he's probably a little busy. He's probably a little busy.
I've only called him once, but he called me once over something that's unrelated to this, but related to the case. And I would not bug the guy, but for what Kim has, I would bug him. I would bug him for that, because that's not bugging. That's like her trying to help them out, because there's a million different angles they're thinking of, and none of them is a medical professional, but Kim is. So
I have a feeling 30 people are going to DM him a clip from this episode with her talking about that, because this is what happens to me every time I talk about anything anywhere. I'll get 40 DMs of people showing me clips of someone else saying it, or someone, it happens.
I do.
And Kim, my theory was basically like, I was trying to I will try to imagine what happened in situations that we don't know, which is why I ask you those questions. So I had to solve for X, like an algebraic formula. So I said, if they didn't call, if there's just a fight and he falls and hits his head, well, Brian Albert would call the ambulance. He would say, well, there's a fight and he fell and he got hurt. I got to call and get him an ambulance. I mean, that just like if they were at a hunting camp, if they were at a fishing camp, if they were hiking, if anything like that, and O'Keefe got hurt, another officer, he would have called, said, we got to get medical treatment. So the only reason they wouldn't have is if someone would have committed some sort of felony assault that he couldn't explain away. Because the second call he would have had to make after calling 911 would be to call the duty desk at BPD and tell them that Officer O'Keefe is going to the hospital. That's a recorded call. And so he would have had to come up with a story right there. So somebody must have done something that Albert didn't think he could explain, whatever that was. And that's why I think it wasn't just a simple fall and hit his head, or they said, well, shoot, these two idiots just fought. These two drunks fought and he hit his head. Well, then he would have got him help. He didn't get him help because someone did something that he would have thought was a felony that he couldn't explain. And if O'Keefe woke up, O'Keefe would tell a different story than what he told. So he couldn't get him help.
Well, and also just a reminder that Karen Read provided mouth to mouth, okay, and was providing first aid and resuscitative efforts upon finding Officer John O'Keefe that morning. And I just a reminder that maybe somebody wouldn't want to do that or help him, make it to Good Samaritan if there was an opportunity for him to wake up and she was the one who had tried to take him out the night before. Just
Right.
a thought.
Yeah, she wouldn't let him
in my
die.
mind.
Yeah, in other words, don't save his life so he can't say, "Oh, well, she
Maybe.
hit me. She backed up to me in the car."
Yes.
I know. There's nothing that makes sense that they say. By the way, hello to Jen Root and hello to Beatrice.
Love them. And actually, conversely, there was one person who was in the car on a 911 call telling them to get off of him and to stop performing life-saving measures. And that person was Jen McCabe. So, if you apply that same logic in reverse, I'm just saying, I've never accused any of them of anything specifically, but if you applied that same logic in reverse, you could come to a conclusion.
There's only one person here qualified to say the name of JM.
Jennifer McCabe.
It's always best when the person picks up the cue. I love it.
There is nobody qualified to say that name. Oh, man.
I just want to add in,
sir.
with Nurse Kim's point when she's talking about Renee Stambridge's testimony, I have not yet met a professional, somebody in the medical field, a nurse, a police officer, people in these. I haven't yet met a person who I've had a private conversation with about this case who is in any of those fields who hasn't looked at this and had the same reservations that we have, or the same things. I have talked to police officers who will talk to me about what I do. And then I've had police officers turn off their body cameras and then say to me, "Who do you think did it?" And I'll say, "Well, I don't like to say who did it. I like to follow the evidence. The evidence tells me that Karen Reed didn't do it. And I think there needs to be more investigation." And I've had cops look right at me and say, "Well, I think Brian Albert did it." You know what I mean? And it's not always him, but I have those conversations. I talked to a state trooper in another state, a non-New England state, who is in charge of training canines and their handlers for the state that he's in. He's the top canine handler trainer and is a canine handler himself. And similar to an expert that went on Melanie Little's show, and I blind showed him the picture of John's injuries on his arm. I just showed him the picture. I didn't tell him what it was about, what the case was. And he looked at me and he said, "Who got in a fight with a German Shepherd?" Those were his literal words that first came out of his mouth. This person has seen more German Shepherd bites than any emergency room doctor because he literally trains dogs to bite people's arms. Like, it's not so I look at these things, and we're also, we're supposed to suspend disbelief in all of these situations. You have the phone call with Jen McCabe saying that. You have every reasonable professional saying this. You have the officer from Dighton saying there was just a crack. There's all of these things that they start out to be these onesies, twosies, but they add up to a mountain of exculpatory evidence that Karen Reed didn't do this. And the last one that I'll add into that is that 911 call when there's a guy laying in the snow. I'm paraphrasing, right?
There's a man on the lawn in 34th Avenue.
Yeah.
There is no one that can tell me, even though I've heard the trolls say it 100 times, the antis say this, there is no one that can tell me that the response would not be faster if someone said there's a police officer laying in the snow and he's not moving. It's not even close. It is literally, you're going to get 10 times the response, and they're going to drive a hell of a lot faster to get there, even in a blizzard.
Yeah,
You're right.
Agree, Jason. 444. And then on top of that, if you remember in Proctor's texts that the feds were kind enough to hand over to the defense, one of the initial responses from one of Proctor's work buddies was, "Man, the homeowner's going to take some heat for this, isn't he?" Just hearing about the broad strokes of the case, what he commented was, "Man, the homeowner is going to be in a little bit of trouble here." So,
he's
absolutely
a
right,
Boston
Jason.
police. I'm sorry, he's a Boston police officer too. He ain't going to catch any shit for this. That was That's
right?
a quote from Michael Proctor.
From Proctor. Hmm.
And speaking of Jen Root being in the chat, especially in Norfolk County, because that's the thing that we see, the ties that bind in Norfolk County are, if you are a law enforcement officer facing some sort of legal liability, you want to live in Norfolk County. Like that is, I'm telling you, this should be their new tourism campaign for Norfolk County. Should be, if you are a criminal police officer, move to Norfolk County, because the state police detective unit attached to the district attorney's office will make sure that you will never face any liability for your illegal actions.
Yes.
It's horrendous. Worse than anywhere I've seen.
I also, the material, and so we're going to have on, this is kind of a preview, but I've been speaking with Dream Feed Media. Grace is her name. She's going to be on. So next week, listener roundtable, then the sexiest man in Canton, John Como. The week after that, chest hair and all.
Right.
And then the week after that is going to be Grace from Dream Feed Media, who did she did that whole replay of the disassembly of the tail light, all that work. What's the gentleman's name? I can never remember. Is it David something that
David McIntyre.
McIntyre.
That's it.
Thank you. McIntyre. That did the deconstruction of the tail light. But you did a good job, David. You really did.
There you're good.
Oh, sorry.
So was that Irish good? Was that Irish okay?
So good.
Thank you. So anyway, yeah, McIntyre did a great job, and Grace goes over it in a way. Kim, if you've not seen Dream Feed Media's Taillight Whisperer, she does it in such a way, a digestible way, that you can metabolize not only the taillight and how it's put together, and the diffusers, and where you would see light versus where you wouldn't, and what McIntyre thinks they use to break it. And then she does the key cycles, and you can even metabolize that. And we all like go into like, I'm ready to go to sleep. I just had Thanksgiving turkey listening about key cycles. It was kind of like Olivia's able to explain hash values in a way that nobody on the stand was able to explain hash values. Thank God to Olivia, we now understand it. So we're going to have on Grace and the co-creator of Calling All Beings, whom none of you have ever seen. His name is Nathan. He is I'm going to tell you, and forgive me because he's an amazing intellect. He really is. He is 100 times smarter than I am and better spoken than I am. And his voice is actually soothing, whereas mine's irritating.
What about the accents though?
Oh, he doesn't do accents. No.
There you go. Everyone has their role.
He's a great guy. Nathan is one of the best people I've ever met in my life, and I met him through doing the show. We started the show together 3.5 years ago, but he is going to be on to interview Grace with me, and have her go over her stuff. So I want to close out the show with someone has a question for Nurse Kim about stitches. So let me see if I've got that starred. Basically, they want to know about dissolvable stitches. Oh, here it is. Okay, this one's for you, Kim, and then this will be our last question.
Oh, sorry. I've been called away to be nurse to my son's head trauma. He's okay. Nurse Kim, how long should it take for the dissolvable stitches to dissolve? Lovey, it should be about 10 days. How old is he? If he's under 8, like it's usually about 7 to 10 days and they'll dissolve. But are they're inside, right? Because the outside ones, typically we still have to
leave them, right?
Yeah, you leave them. So just leave them, keep watching it. It all should look pretty good though, okay?
Yeah, so don't take needle nose pliers and like
no
grab
needle
it.
nose,
Okay.
no removals.
Okay.
I want to know if she gave him the stitches herself, because based on her initial comment, I was a little worried.
Did you do it? Okay.
That's cool.
She just didn't have the. I have the stitches. I just don't know what to do with these things. So let me.
Well, I'll let you guys go, but thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate you so much.
Hang with us for 2 seconds because we are closing the show right now.
Oh, okay.
We are closing the show. I want to thank everybody in this. First of all, I want to thank everybody in the chat, all the mods, everything you guys did tonight to keep this going. A lot of super duper generous amazing people that we always see here, bringing a lot of positivity and love to my guests, to my guest co-host, and to my auxiliary guest co-host who jumped up in here, up in the joint, and just, as she does, she just blows things up. I've said it on many occasions. The two most amazing content creators in our space are Melanie and Nurse Kim. Irrespective, no gender, no nothing, just period. Yeah, she's all right. All right.
My
Jason,
head's exploding. Stop that. I'm blowing things up. It's called
all
my
right,
brain.
okay. We don't want her head to blow up. Even Beatrice texts me and goes, "Oh my God, Kim's on. I'm so jealous." I don't know, something like that. She's like, mine was blown. So, thank you, Jason. I really appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Thanks.
Do you want to pump up stuff you have coming up?
I
real
don't.
quick?
I really have a focus now. I am also starting a YouTube channel, so I'll be doing that in the next couple of weeks. And I have the focus on getting some content created ahead of time on some other cases that I want to cover as well. And we'll obviously be talking about this case. And I did promise that I'm going to write a story this week, so I am going to write a story on some of the external factors that are being fed into this case to influence things negatively. So I'll be talking about that. And other than that, I don't think I have anything scheduled right now, but I always pop up from time to time. You can find me on Aussie Insiders at spur of the moment almost all the time. So happy to
Jason, what's
see
the
you.
name of your channel?
For
the questions in the chat.
It is going to be On Your Case Media, like the little logo that I have up in the corner there. And we will, when I decided that I'm going to do this, I decided all the way. So I have registered an LLC. I am applying for press credentials almost everywhere that I can. And we're going to make a run of it. So we'll see what happens.
Are you ever doing a story on bald-headed content creators? I'm asking for a friend, not for me. I'm just asking for a friend.
I think we could do a whole panel and it would be hilarious. I think we need to figure out, need two more. We need two more bald guys and we could make this a thing.
Well, as DJ says, I might take my hair off at night. So, guys, you never know.
It was the make. I'm never going to live that one down. She's not going to let me go. And she's just going to bring. All right, Kim.
You're right, Kim. I didn't mean to make it gendered. You're definitely, if you're going to come on and be a bald content creator, we're with you.
Beautiful.
All right, Kim, please tell us what you got coming up on Nurse Kim's. Both you have YouTube and TikTok. So what's coming up?
What do I have coming up? I don't know.
Okay.
I am a little bit of a spur of the moment, kind of like Jason, but we've been cranking it out. I just wanted to say also, if anybody was at the Pink Friday stream, thank you guys so much, because Kelly Reed told us that it was $26,000 that ended up being the total for Pink Friday raised for Karen's defense fund. And you guys are everything. Helping Karen this time around is so impactful and so pardon me, and so important. And that Nathan and Kelly Reed came on for a minute. They just popped in and just said thank you so much to all of you. You are what keeps this movement going. You are the message and the holders of information that are seeking justice for Officer John O'Keefe. And I appreciate every single one of you. And I know that Karen and her family do as well.
Very inspiring. You're so inspired, obviously, to the family who recently got to meet you, and to the community. Everybody has got like so much love for you. And we did the same. We got our podcast revenue came.
There you go again.
Our podcast revenue came, and we did 75 for to Karen and 25 to Turtle Boy. And then when our YouTube revenue comes in, we're gonna do something similar. We're gonna percentage it out. We're also gonna kick some to the mods as well. Britt, so you have a YouTube coming up very shortly with a secret guest.
Well, I mean, just not announced yet, but yes, should everything go according to plan, in a couple weeks, the Britt Happens channel will be channeling.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, as I go, kind of let listeners tell me what they want me to cover. So if you guys have any suggestions, any requests, any recommendations, if you'd like to be on, I just opened up an email address. So you can shoot me emails at BritHappensChannel@gmail.com.
And she is also currently on TikTok. Just put Brit Happens in the search bar, and you will find her. You will find Nurse Kim. You'll find Boozy Beauty. And those are the only ones I know because they're the only ones I'm following. So, all right. On behalf of...
Me too.
Sir.
Oh,
You're
dude.
on TikTok?
Exactly how it happens. Yes. No,
You
I'm
are?
saying that those are...
TikTok?
No, I'm not on TikTok.
Oh.
I'm saying as a boomer, the only people that I follow on TikTok
Oh.
are you guys. Like this case and the content creators here, Boozy Beauty and Nurse Kim. Those are the only people I follow on TikTok because I was like, TikTok, But now I'm a believer, so I'm a follower. My name on TikTok is user 9873654. Something like that.
28.
So if you see comments coming from me, it's from me.
I'll tell you what, this has been such a fun show. You guys were so delightful. And then, Jason, we had great dialogue. It was so much fun to do the reading. Then having Kim to jump up in here and just taking her away from her family to come up here and do this. So unplanned. We really do appreciate it. So on behalf of these three angels right here, this is DJ saying peace out, one love. We'll see you down the road. And we always are wondering what's up around the back.